All right, hopefully this is running. I'd say this mic's cutting off my head. Just put mic in the picture. I don't know how this green screen things works. Come on and debate me. The link is in the description here. You can click right on it and get on here and tell me how wrong I am. I'm going to say that the ontological argument, even the sophisticated theology, modal ontological argument, is total garbage. Total and complete garbage. And it makes me even more mad that taxpayer dollars are paying teachers to teach this crap. And kids are going into debt. Parents are mortgaging their houses so that kids can get sent to these higher institutions of learning or whatever, where they teach this kind of stuff like it's worth something. And you pay people to spew this crap. This is just dumb. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Like, why should anybody go into Hawk for the rest of their life at a place that would even run this kind of garbage? I mean, it's just nonsense. And, I'm not thrilled about philosophy, and I'm very ignorant of philosophy. I'm sorry. I like to watch Dan Dennett. Dan Dennett made philosophy somewhat tolerable to me. I still don't. I'd laugh at this hard problem of consciousness thing like it's a thing. But I understand that, there's some logic that you can get out of philosophy. Like when we talk about logical fallacies, I would say that that's probably the domain of philosophy. So there's some good stuff in philosophy, but there's this crazy gaslighting type of philosophy. Like, if you didn't read this book and you don't understand what PQ with the diamond and an arrow is, then you don't know that if you fall down, you're going to hurt your face. No, I can fall down and hurt my face and know that if I fall down, I'm going to hurt my face. So the ontological argument, the thing is, it always gets me so upset. And, I only bring this dumb thing up because every time I think this thing is buried, some new meathead brings it up and says it's like the greatest thing. Talk Heathen this week, they didn't say it was, I think they said this is fallacious and stuff, but the Talk Heathen host talked about the modal ontological argument like it's something special. It's garbage. I don't get it. So basically, our ontological argument, I'll sum it up in my way. I imagine this cool thing, therefore it must be real. That's really what it seems to come down to. I know you guys are saying that it doesn't, but whatever. Let's look at the Anselm. Anselm was some Archbishop of Canterbury or something, 1033 to 1109. So here's his argument. I don't know if these are premises, but one, it is a conceptual truth, or so to speak, true by definition, that God is a being than which none greater can be imagined. That is, the greatest possible being that can be imagined. Number two, God exists as an idea in the mind. 3, a being that exists as an idea in the mind and in reality is, other things being equal, greater than a being that exists only as an idea in the mind. Thus, if a God exists only as an idea in the mind, then we can imagine something that is greater than God, that is, a greatest possible being that does exist. Or 5, but we cannot imagine something that is greater than God, for it is a contradiction to suppose that we can imagine a being greater than the greatest possible being that can be imagined. 6, therefore, God exists. I kid you not. This is people go to school to study this nonsense, and they act like it's this deep thing. Okay, so first of all, premise 1. What do you mean by great? It is a conceptual truth that God is a being than which none greater can be imagined. What do you mean by greater? Like I say, on this planet, I could imagine that this world would be greater without mosquitoes. And there's mosquitoes all over the place. So I don't know. What do you mean by greater? So I don't know. Is it a conceptual truth that God is the greatest thing that can be imagined? I don't think so. I mean, especially if you're going to talk about your God in the Abrahamic thing, I can imagine a lot greater. It depends what you mean by great. Ice cream is greater. I'll take some ice cream. God exists, they'll say in premise 2, God exists as an idea in the mind. Fine. Depends what you mean by God exists. You mean God is a real thing that actually creates universes and is an idea in the mind? I don't know. I can conceptualize a God in the mind. So, number 3, a being that exists as an idea in the mind and in reality is, other things being equal, greater than a being that exists only as an idea in the mind. No. I can imagine mosquitoes, and mosquitoes are real. I think it'd be greater if I could only imagine mosquitoes. I think it'd be even greater still if I couldn't imagine mosquitoes. So, I don't know. Thus, premise 4, thus if God exists only as an idea in the mind, then we can imagine something that is greater than God. I can imagine ice cream. To me, ice cream is greater. So what do you mean by greater? But 5, but we cannot imagine something that is greater than God. Yes, we can. And number 6, therefore God exists. So I imagine something big. So I imagine the spiciest burrito in the universe. Well, actually, the spiciest burrito in the universe does exist. Sorry, that's a bad one. I imagine a 10-pound pizza that won't make me gain any weight. There you go. Therefore, it exists. It's in my mouth right now. I imagine that it's in my mouth right now. It's the greatest pizza that could possibly be. There's no pizza. Okay. Checkmate, atheist or something. Okay. So then you guys talk about sophisticated theology. The stuff we pay money for these professors. The one that everybody keeps bringing up on me, and they act like this is some big old deal, is Alvin Plantinga. Where is he even? What does he do? American something analytic philosopher. Where is he? It's just scary where this guy worked. Notre Dame. I don't know what Calvin University is. So this is the one they keep bringing up. So let's. It's called modal ontological argument, and this is some deep stuff. I see philosophers. I don't know this stuff. Like, this is the way that they usually will defend this one is that, oh, you don't know what all these symbols mean, therefore you have no idea what you're talking about. But I don't think it's that far. Oh, hold on 1 second. Yeah. Hey.
I was just checking in.
Oh yeah.
How are you doing?
Nothing. Okay.
Busy?
Yeah.
Okay. I just had a good ride. I met this guy.
Oh, good.
That's into filming us, so maybe we'll hook up. Like,
oh yeah.
It seems like I'm off Wednesdays and Tuesday or Thursday.
Tell me, we need some filming of some music stuff too.
Yeah. He's down.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, anyway,
cool.
He lives with Calvin.
Oh,
He's a good dude. He's not crazy like Calvin.
Yeah. John Swosh and those guys, the Cronseed guys, are upstairs.
Oh yeah.
I'm just on a stream right now. Sorry.
I gotta get something to eat and catch the bus.
All right.
Just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
All right. Take care.
All right. Sorry, that's how it is around here. This is a kind of a busy place. But anyway, sorry about that little diversion there. Okay, so this is Alvin Plantinga. So he's got the modal ontological argument. Like I was saying, they will gaslight you that if you don't know these symbols and stuff, then you can't argue with this. I think I can. They do talk about the modal axiom S5. In logic and philosophy, S5 is one of 5 systems of modal logic proposed by Clarence, Irving Lewis, and Cooper Harold Langford in their 1932 book Symbolic Logic. It is a normal modal logic and one of the oldest systems of modal logic. And okay, never mind. But S5 states that if something is possibly true, then its possibility is necessary. It is possibly true in all worlds. Well, anyway. So here's Plantinga's version. A being has maximal excellence in a given possible world W if and only if it is omnipotent, omniscient, and wholly good in W, and we already know the problem with that one, right? 2, a being has maximal greatness if it has maximal excellence in every possible world. 3, it is possible that there is a being that has maximal greatness. 4, therefore, possibly, it is necessarily true that an omniscient, omnipotent, and perfectly good being exists. 5, therefore, by axiom S5, it is necessarily true that an omniscient, omnipotent, and perfectly good being exists. 6, therefore, an omniscient, omnipotent, and perfectly good being exists. Okay. We can annihilate this thing on the first premise, but we don't have to. But let's just go through that. 1, a being has maximal excellence in a given possible world W if and only if it's omnipotent, omniscient, and wholly good in W. Which God is that? You ain't talking about the Christian God. Or wait, how do you define good if that's the case? And if you're omnipotent and omniscient, you can't really be surprised by anything. How do you get angry? And they talk about God getting angry all the time. And if you're omniscient and omnipotent, things can't really change, can they? I mean, how would... I don't even know. But I think there's something that connects these two. So let me go to premise 1 and premise 2, because they're split, but they seem connected. A being has maximal excellence in a given possible world W if and only if it is omniscient, omnipotent, omniscient, and wholly good. You know, usually they say omnibenevolent in W. And 2, a being has maximal greatness if it has maximal excellence in every possible world. So this is defining maximal greatness as having maximal excellence in every possible world. So what's the point of the first one? I don't know. Okay, you could call that maximal greatness. I don't know how you're defining greatness there, but you could call it that. I might even grant you that. Let's look at number 3. It is possible that there is a being that has maximal greatness. Is it possible? I don't know that it... See, I used to think anything's possible, but I don't know if we know if things are possible or not. I don't know. Is it possible? Is it impossible? I guess if we don't prove it impossible, then it's possible. Okay, so let's just grant that. It's possible that there is a being that has... Well... The definition of maximal greatness here is that it has maximal excellence in every possible world. So, does it actually have that, or are you talking about the definition of it is that in every possible world? I'll grant that you could say that definition holds true in every possible world, that this possible thing is possibly possible in every possible world, but that doesn't mean there is. See, this is saying it is possible that there is a being that has maximal greatness. But since maximal greatness doesn't really mean it exists, it's just that an idea. You could have an idea. A being has maximal greatness if it has maximal excellence in every possible world. Yeah, neither of these things say that it has to exist. So, okay, it's possible that the idea of this being is possible. Okay, so number 4. Therefore, possibly it is necessarily true that an omniscient, omnipotent, and perfectly good being exists. Therefore, possibly it is necessarily true. I don't really know. See, this is where I fail at the philosophy part, because I don't know how you can be possibly and necessarily true. Either you're true... I mean, it's possible that you're true, but what does that mean necessarily? I know there's just like this real big philosophy stuff, necessary and contingent and stuff. Therefore, possibly it is necessarily true. let's just look at this. Therefore, possibly it is necessarily true that an omnipotent, omniscient, and perfectly good being exists. No. Therefore, it's possible that this thing exists, but it's not true that this thing exists. It's true that it's possible, maybe. 5. Therefore, by axiom S5, it is necessarily true that an omniscient, omnipotent, and perfectly good being exists. Okay, I completely... This S5 thing, let me say it again. S5 states that if something is possibly true, then its possibility is necessary. It is possibly true in all worlds. I'm okay with it being possibly true. You still got to prove that it's true. And really, just because something's possible doesn't mean that it's true in all worlds. That seems to be where they're sneaking something in, because I thought that was... let's just go on. So we know. No. So number 5, definitely not. It is necessarily true that... I know that necessarily means something different in this kind of modal logic than it does in reality. But I'm just going to say, in reality, it's not necessarily true. Let me take out that necessarily. Therefore, it's true that an omniscient, omnipotent, and perfectly good being exists. No, there is no therefore that this thing exists. You got to prove that. Therefore, an omniscient, omnipotent, and perfectly good being exists. Nah, it's garbage. All right. So, if you guys have ever listened to sophisticated theologian William Lane Craig, who likes to quote world-famous atheist Anthony Flew, like, who the hell is that? It says, another Christian philosopher, William Lane Craig, characterizes Plantinga's argument in a slightly different way. Okay. 1. It's possible that a maximally great being exists. 2. If it is possible that a maximally great being exists, then a maximally great being exists in some possible world. We'll come back to this. 3. If a maximally great being exists in some possible world, then it exists in every possible world. 4. If a maximally great being exists in every possible world, then it exists in an actual world. 5. If a maximally great being exists in the actual world, then a maximally great being exists. 6. Therefore, a maximally great being exists. If you've never seen William Lane Craig before, you're in for a treat. I'm not going to play any of this stuff because he's going to DMCA me. But this guy is hilarious. Let's look at net worth. You know, they always Google that. Let's see. His financial income is not open to the public, but average university professor salary is around $97,000. Hopefully, this guy does not work at a real university, but like some kind of fake university. Let's see. Houston Baptist University, Talbot School of Theology. Okay, so I'm okay. Let's hope that he doesn't work at any of this other, like a real school. Westmont College, Talbot School of Theology, Houston Baptist, Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. All right, so okay, so who knows? The point is, this guy gets paid and he shows up on all these debates and lectures and stuff and just spews nonsense. But let's go through his version of this. So come on, guys. No, nobody. You guys always talk like I'm stupid. Just come on here and tell me. Click the link in the description, and you can come on here and tell me how dumb I am about this thing. So let's look at, while we're waiting for you guys, defenders of the allegedly of not the faith. Let me go through this for William Lane Craig's. 1, it's possible that a maximally great being exists. Well, it could. Let's grant that. It's possible that a maximally great being exists. Whatever that means. I'm still going to say that a 10-pound pizza that doesn't make me gain weight is a maximally great being. But whatever. You can have whatever being you want here. 2, if it is possible that a maximally great being exists, then a maximally great being exists in some possible world. I don't know that that's true, but I'm going to grant it. So my 10-pound pizza that doesn't make me gain weight could exist in some world, and not even cheap. Like, not just because the world doesn't have gravity, then it wouldn't make me gain weight, but let's just say it wouldn't make me gain fat or gain mass if I ate it. So I'll grant that one too. Number 3, if a maximally great being exists in some possible world, then it exists in every possible world. Again, it's possible in a possible world it exists. Not in every possible world. Do you mean every possible world as opposed to the real world, or do you mean that every possible world that there could be? See, I don't understand modal logic's possible worlds thing, so sorry, philosophy pedants, whatever. But either way, I don't care. If you mean possible world just means not the real world, that it exists in every possible world, well, I don't know that that's true, because maybe there's worlds where there aren't beings that can conceive things, so I don't know that it could even conceive that. This one seems to be a little bit different, because we're not necessarily talking about an idea. This seems to be an actual being. It's possible that a maximally great being exists. If it's possible that a maximally great being exists, then a maximally great being exists in some possible world. We don't really know what this means, this maximally great thing, but if we're going to include possible worlds as also including the real world, because the real world is possible, because here it is, then I'm going to say no. We don't know that this thing exists. Hold on. Yeah.
Who was the kid on the drums?
Oh, that's John Swoosh. That's the blue drum set. That's his.
Really?
Yeah.
Younger?
No, he's older.
Sure is good.
Oh yeah, he's great.
God, he plays that stuff well.
Yeah, go up there and hang out with him. That's his kicks that are usually down here.
Yeah, I'll catch him another time when he's down here.
Okay.
But, whoa.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
too
nuts.
tired to run up them steps. So I gotta come back down, you know?
Well,
All right, bud. Tell him I said he was really good.
all right, cool. Oh man, that's something you don't usually hear, is praise from one drummer to another, right? Okay, where were we? Yeah, I don't exist. I don't accept that if a maximally great exists, I don't accept that it exists in every possible world. You got to prove that. You got to prove your maximally great being exists in this world. I don't think you can even say that it exists in every possible world. I think you could say that it possibly exists in every possible world. Number 3, if a maximally great being exists in some possible world, then it exists in every possible. I don't think that's true. You got to prove that. Number 4, if a maximally great being exists in every possible world, then it exists in the actual world. I'm okay with that, because so I'm still not sure what they mean by possible. If possible also includes this real world that we're talking about right now, no, you don't get to go there. Okay, first of all, for number 4, we don't know if the maximally great being exists in every possible world, and you've got to prove that it exists in the real world. None of this proves that it exists in the real world. Say in the way that they word it, that it exists in an actual world, I think that since I don't understand modal philosophy, that possible means something very different than what I'm seeing here. Yeah. So nobody. Let's see. So let's see if anybody says anything here. That's it. I'm calling you out, Twitch. What is the other one? Discord? Oh, wow. Calling you out, Twitch, Discord, and YouTube. I wish I could get to the Facebook one, but in fact, I bet you I can. Let's pull that real quick. Sorry. Give me 1 second here. Where is it? You know, probably everybody who could actually do this is asleep already. I'm on Hawaii time, so I'm sorry about that. I don't mean to be, you know, I don't need to nail you, because when you can't defend it. But I would love to see some kind of defense of this damn thing. Okay, so. You know, number 5, if a maximally great being exists in the actual world, then a maximally great being exists. That sounds like a tautology. If a maximally great being exists in the actual world, then a maximally great being exists. How is that not a maximally great being exists? Okay. So you're just saying a maximally great being exists. 6, therefore, a maximally great being exists. You know what this looks like to me? Is the underpants gnomes. Right? What is the thing for the underpants gnomes? Okay. Phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 2, question mark. Phase 3, profit. That's really what I'm getting here, but I don't even think they reached the collect underpants part. He just says therefore. Therefore, a maximally great being exists. A maximally great being exists because I said a maximally great being exists. This one's not even as smart as the I imagine something super cool, so then therefore it exists. This is dumb. I don't... Am I dumb? Am I just... What am I not getting that makes this argument worth anything at all? It seems like total crap. Are you guys singing its praises? Like, how did this go on for 1,000 years? Like, that's how much religion poisons your brain, that an argument this dumb could last 1,000 years. It's been around longer than Black Sabbath. That's sad. This argument should have been, well, you couldn't laugh at it because it would have burned you at the stake, right? But, you know, this is why we didn't get to the moon 1,000 years earlier. This is, yeah, what's the guy's name? Tim, whatever, that gives us all a bunch of crap for not being apologists. I forget what his name is. Anyway, come on, somebody defend this stupid thing. You guys always like defending it when it's text. I say this is nonsense. I say this is a horrible, criminal waste of taxpayer dollars. That this goes into schools paid for by citizens. That kids go into debt for the rest of their lives in schools that would even have a professor that takes this crap seriously on the payroll. It's sad. It's a travesty, and it just needs to go die. It's the dumbest thing. Should have died 1,000 years. Should have died before it even came out of this guy's mouth. Who is this Anselm guy? Let's read a little bit more about him. Let's see. Anselm of Canterbury was an Italian Benedictine monk, abbot, philosopher, and theologian of the Catholic Church who held the office of Archbishop of Canterbury, I guess. Let's see. Everybody talks about Descartes, right? Did I say that right? Oh man, look at this scammer. Some idiot scammer on Twitch. Somebody ban this idiot. Oh, another idiot. Wow, man, Twitch is full of idiot scammers. Okay. So does Descartes... Here they are. It says, Descartes proposed a number of ontological arguments that differ from Anselm's formulation. Generally speaking, they are less formal arguments than they are natural intuition. Now, is Descartes the I think, therefore I am guy? I think he is. See, I don't know philosophy. I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean that I can't drop this piece of Velcro and watch it fall. So what did he say? But if the mere fact that I can produce from my thought the idea of something entails that everything I clearly and distinctly perceive to belong to that really does belong to it, is not this a possible basis for another argument to prove the existence of God? Wait, what? The mere fact that I can produce from my thought the idea of something entails that everything I clearly and distinctly perceive to belong to that thing does belong to it. What are you saying? The idea that you can produce from thought the idea of something, it means that everything I can clearly and distinctly perceive must belong to that thing. Is that not possibly a basis for the existence of God? Why is that a basis for the existence of God? What God? man. Certainly the idea of God or a supremely perfect being is one that I find within me just as surely as the idea of any shape or number, and my understanding that it belongs to his nature and that he always exists is no less clear and distinct than is the case when I prove any shape or number that some property belongs to its nature. You know, who knows what they ate back then? They're probably like eating moldy bread or something. I don't even know. What do you get that? Like, okay, here we go. Certainly, the idea of my 10-pound pizza that makes me gain no fat is one that I find within me, just as surely as the idea of any shape or number. In fact, if I ate a pizza, I would feel it within me. And pizzas exist. What do they say about it? Descartes argues that God's existence can be deduced from his nature, just as geometric ideas can be deduced from the nature of shapes. What's his nature? Prove that it's his nature. He suggested the concept of God is that of a supremely perfect being holding all perfections. He seems to have assumed that existence is a predicate of a perfection. Thus, if the notion of God did not include existence, it would not be supremely perfect. Who cares? If it's a supremely perfect idea, that doesn't mean it exists. This is so dumb. This is like those, when you watch those apologist guys that try to like define their sky monsters into existence. Gottfried Leibniz something saw a problem. This guy saw perfection as impossible to analyze. Therefore, it would be impossible to demonstrate that all perfections are incompatible. And Descartes' argument is still valid. I don't know. This is nonsense. Okay, so you guys, if you want, make a response to this video. I don't care. Whatever it is. I really want to get through this dumb thing because this seems ridiculous to me. It just seems criminally stupid. Seems like a horrific waste of taxpayers' money to pay for these idiots. Yeah, this is dumb. All right, so that's my my attempt to get somebody to defend this stupid thing, modal ontological argument. I'll see you guys later.